right, so we back. So we got this another video about Russ talking about how the music industry creates industry plans. So we're gonna see what Russ have to say, and I'm gonna give my commentary on it.
Evil individual record executive that wanted to create a system that could extract as much wealth from the artists that you possibly could, given the technology
That's already been done by Leah Cohen. It's called the 360 deal.
that exists right now. How would it look?
Easy money.
Okay.
You create somebody who is the most radical persona and image of counterculture as possible, and feed them hits. That's it. Like, think
Give
about
an example. Like,
so like me and Boogie talk about this all the time, which is, I think at its core, I think hip hop is black culture, right? And I think you've heard from a lot of different perspectives within the black culture. You've heard from the CEO, right? Jay-Z, which also drug dealer. You've heard from the artsy dude, Kanye. You've heard from a stripper. You've heard from the... What's the next extreme thing that you haven't heard from yet? What's the next extreme perspective you haven't heard from yet?
Sexy Red, like the extreme character of a black woman, of like the ratchet ghetto black woman. Obviously, you know, you got like the Sexy Reds, you got like the sad rap, you got the drug-induced people that be like, oh, like I do these drugs and it makes me feel better and all this. They basically crackheads.
Look at Sexy Red. I think Sexy Red...
Exactly. My point exactly.
I think Sexy Red is all... I don't subscribe to this like it's like a weapon of mass destruction. I just think like it's the natural progression of things. It's like Sexy Red is, I think, represents the authenticity that everyone else is almost trying to push. She's like the real deal. She's the real thing. And that's why it resonates, because it's like, oh.
Very small percentage of the culture. Very small, but it's
it's impactful. But it's impactful and it's authentic. And so look at like the progression of the game, right? It's like, okay, but where do you go after Sexy Red? At some point, me and Boogie talk about this all the time. At some point, you're gonna hear, you've heard from the CEO, you've heard from the drug dealer, you've heard from the stripper, you've heard from the this. At some point, you'll hear from the crackhead. You'll hear from the this. You'll hear.
Oh shit!
Now, you will. Why would it stop at here?
You're making a
think about it. Why would it stop here?
You're right.
Because you just get more
exhausted men. That's why women have been making the best music.
It's like, think about it, bro. Like, we're not stopping here. It's gonna go to the next level, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next.
It's more extreme.
Oh yeah, and bro. Give it 10 years, a legitimate. Like, where it's like clear that that's their...
Just said it's like you're gonna hear from the most wild thing ever. You're gonna hear from next, they're gonna just pick up homeless people and have homeless people doing it too. Like,
brand will have a number 1 song in the world and it is a known crackhead, and we will be living in a Black Mirror episode where everyone is rooting and cheering on for the train wreck of a crackhead.
What was the first thing you said, though? You said counterculture, right?
Yeah.
And counterculture is anything that goes almost completely against whatever the mainstream popularity is.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, the culture of hip hop at its core and at its inception was intelligent movement. What's the antithesis of intelligent movement? Crackhead.
Being reckless.
Reckless.
Okay, we're like kind of close.
Yeah.
Well, no. To your point, I want to.
Everything right now, like why the old heads are like hip hop is dying is because what is happening is counterculture to the culture of hip hop's inception.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the shit happening in hip hop is actually counterculture.
But you can't just put that on like the newer generation though, because like I would say it started happening soon as like gangster rap and drug dealer rap came out. When everybody started saying, you know, they in the trap slanging dope and all of that, I would say that's when it actually started. Like stuff like that and the gangster rap and things like that. Like maybe 1990 up.
And culture is hip hop.
To the counterculture. I'm curious about this. Okay. Hip hop, I don't think had a #1 album last year.
Right. Until whatever it was. Yeah.
There is a form of music that has gained
I saw this
popularity.
And I sent it to the group chat. It was so spot on.
I'm curious your take on it. And is country this rebellion that you're talking about? Is this counterculture? If the mainstream culture of
No, country has always been the most sold music. I don't know why people think like it wasn't like fully mainstream because of the way things work on social media and stuff nowadays, but country has always been the most sold music. Even when I was in school, I did my songwriting class. One of the main things they talked about, which was like which genre of music makes the most money. And publishing and things like that. It was always country. This was back in like 2013. So it's not really surprising. It's just, I guess what they're saying is country is now moving towards social media, more of a mainstream look. I would say that's what's happening. You never know.
Everybody's listening to hip hop, and hip hop it might not be representative of every single person in America, but it is popular music now. Is country now the most rebellious or counterculture thing to hip hop? And is that why it's become so popular?
I think this. I think it's not that black and white, but I think there's a couple things. I think it happened with rock music, which is subject matter in rock music reached the ceiling where we had heard everything.
Yeah.
And I think with rap, we have heard everything. Oh, you're also sliding on an op? Heard that. In fact, I heard it and it was better. You're selling drugs? I heard that. 50 did it and it was way harder.
You're sad. You're emotional.
You're sad? Heard that. Cudi? Way better. Drake? Way, you know what I'm saying? It's like everything that's happening in rap, I've already heard the better version
So
of it.
what haven't we heard yet?
So it's reached this point of we've heard.
Now, what it is that it's all this extra lifestyle that you hearing in rap. What you need to hear in rap right now is like from the regular dude. The regular dude that like playing video games, that likes anime, that likes playing basketball with his boys. Like things like that's what you need to hear in hip hop nowadays. You need to hear like some regular stuff, not like no extra like, yeah, nigga, I'm sliding on an op with my, you don't need to hear none of that. You need to hear some regular stuff. You need to hear things like marriage, how things going in your love life with your wife, things like that, because everybody's getting older, nobody's getting younger. So you need to grow with the times, grow with the people, and start talking about things that you actually experiencing, because there's no way you this famous celebrity and you still sliding on an op. Like, you know what I'm saying? It don't work no more. So you really do got to talk about something else, like what's going on in life, being a regular person.
Heard off this. It's like at this sort of breaking point where what's about to happen. And that's one layer of it. I think the other layer is people who listen to country and rock, they weren't on the streaming platforms at first. They were still on iTunes.
Yeah.
Right?
They were still buying CDs.
They were still buying CDs. They've migrated.
interesting.
They've migrated over where now my dad is on Spotify. See what I'm saying?
That was the last
is
genre
interesting.
of music that was still buying
Right. So now you're getting the audience that was basically country music's audience, in my opinion, was last to migrate to streaming. But now that they have, people are seeing that. Wow, there's a lot of them.
Think about
So it's not necessarily.
But that's the crazy part, right? Even if they are the last to migrate over and people are seeing like, oh, this is kind of a thing. What era where country music wasn't the most sold genre? Even at hip hop's peak, country music was still selling more. That's why Taylor Swift did so well, and then she switched over to pop. It was always at its peak. Like that's where most of the money always was in publishing and everything.
Necessarily
A lot
a
of them in America
rebellion.
than there-
It's just that they were the last ones to convert.
To migrate.
And because of the conversion of migration, now we're seeing these numbers that look astronomical, but those were always
They
the
were
fucking
always
numbers.
there. They were always there.
That's interesting.
They were
Kenny
always there.
Kennedy's been moving units.
Yeah. They were always there. They were just
always
last
had
to the
their
party.
own award show that was huge.
They were just last to the party is all that happened, in my opinion. But also, I do think rap's subject matter has reached a ceiling where there's no new perspectives being introduced outside.
But see, like, he right, but it's just that nobody wants to talk about the everyday life stuff. That's really what it boils down to. This didn't really talk about industry plants like that though either. But yeah, y'all, you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Peace out, y'all.